Alright, hello and welcome back, everybody. Sorry if I sound a little disappointed, but I just did a whole episode. Not that it's hard to make these episodes, I'm sorry, but no, I had a great talk and everything, and I just went ahead and did the whole thing, and but my game froze. My whole PlayStation froze, actually. That's weird. So, anyways, now I'm trying to think back to all the important things that I talked about. At least I think they're important. So I started off by saying Minecraft is weird. It said it had the normal loading screen. See, I'm doing all this a second time. Jeez. Um, but then it said I feel like that's a new thing. Somehow that got smushed because usually pumpkins do exactly that. But anyways, man, that stinks. I really wish that didn't happen because I really liked how that talk was going. Anyways, so I loaded up the game and it said a fun fact. It was talking about how many different whoops, I just heard that cat. Okay, nice. It was talking about how many tropical fish there are, like 3,000 or something. Geez, and then I even talked about Buena Vista and how it's a small population and how. Okay, so anyways, little backstory. People that have been watching a lot of these episodes will already know, but I'm originally from Buena Vista, Colorado, which is a prison town. Like, it used to be a bunch of miners up there in a big mining community, Leadville, Salida, Buena Vista, because there was a bunch of mines up there. But now there's a prison and the mines shut down. So, all the people that were living up there and everything, they had to change what they did and start, working in a prison. Or a lot of people, not everyone. And so, as kids growing up there, we know a lot about prison, inmates, what not to do, what to do, and like we were raised kind of like inmates. Like we got our cars searched, our rooms searched, like all this stuff. Like I mean, not pat downs, thankfully. Like it wasn't that bad, but like it wasn't your typical like, oh, I left my cannabis paraphernalia in my jeans pocket and it went to the laundry and now my mom found it. Like no, it was they're going through your room looking through all your stuff and I'm sure there's still parents out there that do that, but like I hope to not be one. But I don't know. We're not to that age yet, thank goodness. Like, I mean, and when we get to there, I don't know. I hope my kiddos are just like I was. I mean, if they acted like me, and I already trust them quite a bit, like for their age. Like, I mean, they've proven themselves time and time again to think logically, think rationally, think through things, and try to avoid emotion. Unless they're hungry. Well, in that case, everybody's hard to, keep that away. That's why there's hangry. Like people are a lot easier to upset and be grumpy if they haven't eaten. So, anyways, oh, I had such a good episode that just got lost. But anyways, so I guess we'll recreate it. So I really wanted to make a video tonight, at least make the one. Maybe a couple. I don't know. Like we'll see how it goes. It's already almost 8. Jeez, I gotta go to bed soon. I'm old. But no, so I'm talking on Facebook with somebody, and they were talking about. Oh, jeez, I feel like I already said this. Like I'm just repeating everything. Sexual assault or assaulting a minor, being usually in a church, or why are priests always doing this, or why does it seem like it's always or a lot of priests are doing that? Even like however you phrase it, because you gotta be careful not to say like all priests, just like a few bad eggs doesn't mean reflect on everybody. It reflects poorly, but it doesn't mean that everybody in that category does that. That's pigeonholing. That's labeling. That's like assigning guilt and blame before it's warranted. I mean, if it's warranted, sure. Like if it turns out to be true, okay, there you go. But um, anyways, uh, something we think about a lot back home. Like, how do we prevent this? How do we fix this? Like, or how do we like, yeah, first off, not get there ourselves, but second off, how do we stop everybody else from doing it? And I don't know. I mean, like the general consensus is we need to get rid of sexual assaults, like all of it. It's all bad. But how do you do that? You know, as is, we're playing whack-a-mole in a preventative way, reacting to situations, and whether or not they're even deemed, worthy of the name. Like, um, wait, did it save my spot here? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Anyways, because I had to power cycle my. I try not to do that. The first thing I try to push all the buttons on the controller. I tried to hold down the P button. I tried to push the power button, just push it once. I tried to hold it for 10 seconds, didn't do anything. And usually after 10 seconds it beeps. Um, yeah, anyway, so then I just had to hold it for like 30 seconds. Then it like that was like a hard shut off. It's like basically like pulling the power cord. It still had to repair the data and all that. But anyway, so it's a Facebook group that it's and I usually don't talk about these things on Facebook because it's like, don't make messes where you eat or where you sleep, like, because, be careful with that. So, anyways, uh, and usually it's pretty heavy MAGA, like, or at least if they're not Republican or MAGA or just anti-Biden, or if they're not Republican or MAGA, then they're anti-Biden at the very least, on average in this group. And then there's some people that play into it, and they fight back and forth, they quarrel, and yeah, so Facebook is just so ridiculous. This huge social experiment. Now, XApp, yeah, the gloves are off. I'm all about it there, even though I have my first name, last name, and then STEM. Like, and originally I created that because I was, well, one, trying to become, I still want to be an educator, like in some capacity. But, um, I got to worry, like, is this going to come back and bite me someday? Which, that's why I try to always say and do things to where if my boss saw this, would I lose my job? Like, basically, like, how bad can this get? I do everything like that, as we all should, but I mean, not too much to a point where, like, oof, but just generally err on the side of caution, but don't not live your life, too. So, I don't know. And I feel like all of these things that I'm saying, I could justify to my boss. In fact, I probably have at some point, just thrown it into casual conversation, like, well, we could prevent this by, in fact, I know I know I've talked to my coworker about that. And in the past, a lot of my bosses, I've told them, this is how I think of this, and this is how I think we stop this, and it's often more received with a, oh, that makes sense. Either that or they're just being nice. But no, I feel like you can tell, like if they're just trying to like, and the fact that they converse back. I don't know. I'm thinking about a few different bosses now, but anyways, supervisors, people that told me what to do, were in charge of making sure I did a good job. We would talk. So, oh man, and I was talking about my dad too. Oh, okay. So my dad had this trait where he would say things. He was a thinker. He was quite the problem solver, a puzzler. Like he loved puzzles, and he would think things through kind of too much. And he would say things that were either really profound, really offensive, or really hilarious, or sometimes a mixture of those. Like, and I kind of have a tendency to do similar things. And so one such thing is I kind of put my foot in my mouth, and actually I said this really scary thing that made me sound pretty sus. So, anyways, so we're talking about sex assault, especially on minors, and a way to mitigate that in a preventative way is to legalize adult sex work. Or, um, yeah. Sorry, I'm also thinking like, anyways, doesn't matter. Hope kids don't watch this one, but I mean, it is a, oh, as I almost trampled a thing. Anyway, so this Facebook thing, it's this MAGA group. Generally, I mean, there's still a lot of Democratic people in there, or more liberal leaning. We could say that. So, and I'm more liberal leaning, I'd say. Like, I mean, just, I tend to vote Democrat. There you go. I don't agree with a lot of the more extreme things. Like, I mean, I don't like disagree or hate or I mean, it's two wings of the same bird, first of all. And this someone else was just saying that in this group. And like, if either of these pictures offends you, you have a problem. And I did get triggered a little bit because I saw Biden's face in clown makeup, but then there's Trump's face in clown makeup right next to it. I was like, ah, okay, well, yeah. I mean, if you're calling them both clowns, cool. And that's just the thing, and that's the polarization of the two choice kind of like fallacy we've found ourselves in. Because if it's not one, it must be the other. That's just like the knee jerk reaction and how we think. Straw man fallacy, or like it has to be one of the clearly defined choices in your mind, otherwise it's just inconceivable. I mean, is a good way to look at that too. Like, just because you say this, oh, automatically you must be against this, this, and this, and be like, no, actually. And I feel like almost everybody is like that deep down. Like, it doesn't matter. It's just how much of a spin have you allowed yourself, and not like it's some shortcoming of you or some thing that you did wrong. It's just how inundated or how saturated are you with all of this divisive rhetoric that buys votes, and way misleading too. And like, I don't know. And it's just you can get easily get attacked from your own side. And it is almost like picking sides. You pick a team. Like I'm on team red or I'm on team blue. Like, and that's what it feels like. And oh, my team won or oh, my team lost. And instead of like, oh, the people lost, like we lost. You know, is it life's gonna stink for us because of this, or it could be better because of this. And we're all saying the same thing, and they're up there laughing like not really. I think it's like inertia. This whole political system has kind of run out of control to a point. I mean, we're gonna regain control. I don't know, but that's also interesting because oh wait, first, and I did this in that other episode that got lost forever. Um, it took me the whole 30 minutes just to say what happened in like a 3 response Facebook post. But this woman was like mean, like angry, like I think that's some projection. Like she doesn't like the idea of prostitution being legalized, and even calling it that. Like I mean, because okay, let's definitely touch on that point. So, sorry, phrasing. Yeah, we talked about Archer and phrasing and all that, and this is a phrasing faux pas. Like the way I phrased something sounded really bad. Like made me seem like a predator, and oh. But then the argument that like, oh, I couldn't be a predator because I beat up an adult predator and I got in a lot of trouble for it. Like that doesn't exclude me from ever committing the same crime. Like, I mean, but again, that's straw man. Just because I did this does not equate this, or like correlation is not or no causation doesn't necessarily prove no, correlation doesn't necessarily prove causation. And by that I mean, it's like that meme with the cat sitting on a dented hood. Like, oh my gosh, what did that cat do? That's some Super Saiyan, like, Dragon Ball Z cat. No, it's just a cat that's sitting in a dent. Like, it just happens to be in a dent. It didn't cause that dent, or probably didn't. I don't know. Can't prove that it didn't cause the dent, but, if you and then you get into what was it? I was seeing like Occam's razor and all these other things that are just ways you can easily remove certain conclusions based on certain logical concepts or logical constructs. And you got to be careful too because you don't want to box yourself in a corner and be like, oh no, it can't be this because this. And I guess working with computers, you get a lot of that stuff anyway because you have to fix bugs that where you see every kind of problem. You're like, oh gosh, now it's outputting all sorts of this. Oh, now it's not even running. Like, oh my gosh, what's it doing now? Like, it's like you learn so many things from how badly you break computers and code, and like you could write some really ugly spaghetti code that just doesn't work, and like usually it just doesn't work. Like that's the main thing. But then you'll get it to work, but then the output is way wrong. Like, oh, and they had fun with it too. They knew certain assignments would just look ridiculous, like, and just be like just like soul crushing. Like, oh my gosh, I'm a failure. Such imposter syndrome. Oh no, the little kitty cat, run away from me. Usually they try to evade you. Oh, this is weird. Well, come on, back that way, that way. There you go. Come on. Okay. Yeah. See now it like shoots off. Like, no, get away from me. Anyways, so this was a Facebook post about pedophiles in the church, and I hate saying pedophile too because again, that's like pigeonholing someone and cornering them. Like, I mean, to where they can never change. Might as well just be the death sentence. And if you honestly think that you can't correct their behavior and change who they are, or make sure that they don't do what they did again, then why do? I mean, that's such a grim way to look at it. Like, of course we need to do corrections. We can't just start killing everybody, but then you get the purge and stuff, and that's not the direction that we want to go. We're not going to go that way. Jeez, this is going to be really awkward if we do go that way. Oh, hold on. Right, like you weren't going to. Sorry. Anyway, so it was a Facebook post about priests that committed sexual assault on minors. And I responded, not to sound piggish, but what if we legalized adult sex work and maybe even made robots. I said it more eloquently than that, because I've said this particular argument many times on the XOP usually, XApp, sorry, because that's where I'm experimenting with all this positive social engineering, distributed positive social engineering, really, because it's trying to reshape the way people think, but in a way, like you can't just chase them away. And I feel like it's a little like catch and release, like fishing. Like you lure them in with a very outrageous meme or outrageous statement. Like my biggest one, my most successful one was, and not like I intentionally do it, but it just kind of happens. Like, oh, geez, I really triggered a lot of people, and then I'm gonna keep going a little bit. Like, it's just like, wait, does this hurt? Does this hurt? And then I'm gonna keep going. Like, sorry. No, but my best one was it was a picture of Trump saying, look at this guy telling people to get over, or what was it? Oh, I can't even remember, but it was a ridiculously like out of taste meme about gun rights and and violence threatening kids. It's a very real concern for a lot of parents and non-parents out there, like but especially parents. It's like, phew, what if someone shows up to my kid's school? Like they've got shooter drills now, like they've got lockdowns, they've got all these things because someone had to go and do it, like, and not just one someone, several someones. So like look at me, it's all for attention too. Like I feel like it's like, oh, but how do we fix it? We can complain about it all day, but how do you fix it? And that's what this was about. And I usually get met with some pretty big rejection, like, oh, like what, and this was no different. Like, it doesn't matter how you phrase that. Like, trying to say you want to legalize that, like, it just, well, one, automatically, and I think it's two women that responded. The first one was like, something wrong with you, seek help. Like, implying that I have that I've got mental issues or something. I need to go seek help and go talk to someone with therapy because I just suggest that. And stuff that's already happening. Consenting adults will do what they want, and they'll make deals if they want. Like, it's just human nature. It's the oldest profession for a reason. People joke about it like that, but it's a tale as old as time. Yet we arrest, harass, and fine and all this stuff, and same with like substance use and substance abuse. Like, and you could even argue that it's not substance use that gets you in trouble. It's the abuse because then you end up using it in ways that are unsafe to society, and then become a more public problem. Or you're dealing, and then that is like justified, like, oh, we're spying on you because we suspect that you're causing a problem for other people or force of society, not consenting adults and all that. But and I say that because one of my other really good discussions, which was actually from that gun. Ah, jeez, now I kind of want to look it up, but uh, sorry, I'm also really thinking about. Okay, let's just go back to the other Facebook post. Well, real quick, let me finish that thought. So I was speaking with a guy that actually said he worked for the Obama campaign, and now he's a MAGA all the way. And I believe him. I mean, he had a picture with him and Obama, um, and he's a lawyer. And in fact, we called him lawyer. That's the same one, the same. If you've watched the other When Login Issues Strike or Oasis. I talk about him quite a bit, actually. I forget which one of that was, though. But anyways, so, uh, jeez. So it was gun rights and trying to, um, oh yeah, that's what it was. The meme was, imagine him telling someone to get over it that he can't get over an election or whatever. Like, that was the basis of it, and it was talking about his speech that Trump said that we need to move on. Like, we need to get past it. Like, you don't tell grieving parents that they need to move on. Like, you can kind of, but I think he stumbled on this. At least it's still, even with my bias, that I don't like the guy. And again, a lot of that is undue bias from social pressures already, and we go over that in excruciating detail. But triggered for and that meme with the clown faces. But anyways, he gave a speech and he was like, we need to get over it. I think is how he said it. But what he should have said was something like, we need to move on together as a group, like, or we have to live. There has to be life after a tragedy, like something like that. Okay, that would be more eloquently, no, sorry, a more eloquent way to put that. But instead, he said we need to get over it. So he's like, almost showing like disdain or, non-empathy or a lack of empathy for the people, for the parents that lost kids in a shooting. Like, you don't tell shooting victims that we need to move on, we need to go over. He needs you to move on because he needs to campaign that the NRA is good, and I need to say something sad about this, but I'm not really genuine about it. So I'm just going to say what I think you need to hear. And then, it's just, and I'll bet you that the parents, if they're Trump supporters, they're going to receive that as like, oh, well, or even that, oh, well, yeah, he did sound a little messed up, but he meant well. Like, we'll go through great lengths to justify um, undesired behavior. It's amazing. So, I mean, it's so amazing. We got Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Which, yeah, I'm watching Breaking Bad again for like the. Oh, and I talked about a whole spiel. See, I'm still reliving that episode that got lost. Um, of my own episodes, but jeez, that sounds mental. My own episodes. No, whew. I was just saying that I've watched Breaking Bad like 5 or 6 times at least all the way through, and I'm still noticing new things. And so without doing spoilers, because saying spoilers doesn't give you a free pass to say spoilers, like that makes people, oh, now I got to turn it off and like maybe jump back in if they don't want to hear spoilers. Like it's like saying not to offend you, but hey, I'm gonna go ahead and offend you. Like, or no offense, but here's some offense. Like it doesn't work like that. So without spoilers, doesn't matter because I still think everybody, all adults or at least teenagers, um, should watch Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Like it's amazing. It's insane. Uh, and it's also not even possible. Like a lot of the things they do, law enforcement would be all over it and shut it down like instantly now. But it's just a fun thing to think of. Not fun because I want to see that happening. Ah, we lost that whole discussion too. So I used to love Dexter when I used to drink, but I don't drink anymore. So I guess that kind of vengeance on, people that I guess maybe we think deserve it, that carnal desire to see people get, Dexterized again, like if kids stumble on this being a Minecraft video, like I don't want to say things that'll mess them up for life. But Dexter's a show where he does some bad things, and then the people that know. So, anyways, nah, that's just gonna make him watch. He's a murderer. There you go. He murders murderers. Okay. And and actually for date night with my kids, with my co-parent, we used to watch the Saw movies. I used to drink a lot. Part of why she's my co-parent now. Anyways, that's not all of it, but and it's not that's makes it sound worse than it is. But anyways, I digress. So I used to like watching Dexter, and I think that was because like maybe drinking shut off part of my brain to where I started thinking more with my lizard brain and more with my primal brain, like oh yeah, revenge and justice and whoo and like punch the drywall and do something ridiculously American and drunk, like you know which I guess you gotta understand that people are out there still drinking themselves stupid, but state by state it's gonna be changing. I mean, people are gonna be drinking a lot less, or like they'll be drinking as it's intended, responsibly, like a couple of drinks or something. But the people that aren't dealing with a lot of heavy, emotional issues, or depression or PTSD or whatever, or well, actually, depression and PTSD are two of the main ones. I guess you could lump in like all mental. I don't know. Sorry. How do I make myself not sound crazy? I like to talk to myself and play Minecraft. Sorry, that's and I'm never like I don't know. Okay, so back to the Facebook thing. So now I'm remembering that whole spiel. So a little backstory. I have family that worked, well, a lot of family that worked in prisons, so I do kind of have a more inside look and a lot more obsession with how do we stop criminals from being criminals, and how do we even just stop, because they're not criminals, they're people that commit crimes. Like, that's the first fallacy, is like imagining that people that do these things are somehow different biologically or socially or physically. Like, no, I mean, they're all capable of being produced by environment. It's a nurtured thing, it's a learned thing either by a series of like parents falling short or parents not being there, which is why we're trying to end a lot of incarceration, especially because most incarceration is for nonviolent substance offenses. And having grown up with family members and friends that have family members all working in the prison, it's a little hard not to see all these problems and to understand that, well, if we fix this, then we can fix most of this. I mean, and that's why I was suggesting legalizing adult sex work to prevent because basically it's a lot of priests and pastors and maybe like youth coaches and maybe um, but usually it's got a heavy connotation of Jesus. Like there's a lot of religion, specifically Christianity. In fact, I know some guy that he was from another country and he lived here and he was very religious, very Christian, and he kind of had some weird things going on. Like he liked feet and stuff, and I was like, I don't know, man. And he specifically liked this. I call him a kid. He was a legal adult, but it's like 18, technically that's legal, but like, I don't know. That still seems like a young kid. And like, anyways, my point is this dude's like 40 and this kid's like 18, 19, and it's a dude and a dude. And like, not that that's like, I mean, okay, dude and a dude, that's fine. But like, dude and a kid, dude, nah, you know, no. That's the whole innocence thing. So it's creepy. Anyway, sorry, that's my little soapbox of that. But the point of this post was is they were talking bad about predators that are in the church, and I was like, well, why don't we legalize prostitution and try to give them an alternative target and try to prevent it from happening in the first place? And two women responded to me. At least I'm pretty sure the second one is. The first one said, "Something wrong with you. Seek help." I'm like, why? Because my body, my choice, or because my body, my choice ends at vaccines and abortion, and she just liked it. Like, and that was kind of funny that first, and I was like, oh, like that either that made her stop, made her get quiet real quick, or she just wanted to make me go away, like whatever, or like stop talking or whatever. I don't like this, but she liked it, and that's why I love that little a little trick there, like body autonomy in regards to the vaccines and pro-choice. It's quite the conundrum for a lot of people because usually everybody agrees with one of those, at least one. So and it's almost a very polarized issue. Like usually the people on the right are a little more adverse to the vaccines because they smell a rat. They think that it was pushed. They don't trust it, the safety of it. I mean, now that people aren't dying in masses like they thought it was going to happen, it could always happen in the future. I don't know. I mean, but that's the thing. The people that do know almost unanimously say that. Although I do know of someone that is very formally educated, has degrees, supposedly someone that would be very knowledgeable on just anything, or at least thinking that they would trust the experts, but coming up with all these sources that, I don't know, from a more sketchy source, I'd say. And you got to be careful of that too. Like, you can't just be completely blindly trusting Google because whoever controls Google could just flip that switch at some point. But I mean, that's dangerous. We've become pretty dependent on that. So yeah, people could manipulate that, but at the same time, anybody who's read a lot of books and can read books can be like, "Nah, here it is. It's written down. Like we've got this." So, internet's great, but if anything, there will always, as long as there's a, how do I even say that? There's much more of a chance that there's going to be a written record or it's going to be recorded somewhere safe or it's going to have enough issues or like instances, not issues, instances to where you can still prove the fake. Ugh, oh, that hurts my head a little bit. It's like, how are you gonna prove it with Google? But just watching and consuming entertainment and just knowing more things and more perspectives and ideas and thoughts, it's gonna make us a stronger people overall. All people, human, them, and women, everyone, or human and women, and everyone in between. That's my whole thing. Or like, we could fix the accidental patriarchy just by making or calling males human and females women still. I mean, they always have been. Because since we call them something other than men, that set them apart from males. Like females made them lesser. Because the age of man refers to the age of human. But it sounds weird to say the age of human, like you're some kind of alien or something. So we accidentally made males more important than females because the age of man. And whether it was intentional at first or unintentional, it's been perpetuated unintentionally because almost everybody could say, "Oh yeah, I think women should have rights." I mean, even saying that, I laugh because that just sounds so messed up. Like, yeah, I think women should have rights. Yeah, gosh darn right they should. Like, and they should vote and all that. Okay, anyways, Wow, we rambled the whole time. So, and I did not get to it. So let's just finish it real quick. So, it's a Facebook post on that. The first lady responded, and then she liked it, and then done. And then the second lady responded with a meme saying, "You just passed retard and went full on potato." And for me, dropping the R word like that is extremely offensive. I've had family work with special needs kids, and that's what I teach my own kids is ability tech and technology that helps people's lives, especially the ones like that. I mean, are the most important pieces of tech. Like we watched this YouTube video where this deaf guy heard his wife for the first time, and you could just see the expression on his face, and just like that, and just know that if you aren't able to hear, like you're listening to this right now, and then you can, that's a miracle right there. And I don't care if you're religious or not. We're making that happen, or God, or whatever. You could blame it or give anyone the credit, but it's happening. So, anyways, and then so I lashed back. I was like, "What? You think this?" And then da 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 da. And we went back and forth, and then finally she said, this is why I think it's a she. She's like, perverts will go out and seek the kids wherever they're at. This isn't gonna help, or something. And then she said, they have their hands. What do they need? Like, and I was like, aha, you're not a guy. So, and here's why. Like, we don't even like the feeling of contraceptives, let alone. So, wrong. Try again. Like, and I already know that anybody reading that is gonna be like, well, yeah. As a guy, I know that, or as a woman that knows guys, they're gonna roll their eyes and be like, well, that's true. So maybe what he's saying makes a little sense. So, anyways, that's the 30 minutes. I don't want to lose this one too. So, ta ta for now. I'll see you in the next one.